Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. And before I get into it, I'm going to say immediately in this particular video, if you are offended by offensive language, there will be some offensive language in what I am about to say. So please, if you need to, maybe don't watch this particular video. But I do invite you to please go into the description box and look at the links inside of there. The information that is in the description box is more important. If you want to know why I look so furious, Missouri GOP has just declared a war on knowledge. Looks like they've got passed through the Senate and the House to ban all public funding to the public libraries. Now, that may sound unimportant to you, but some of us individuals did not grow up with a silver spoon in our mouths. If we wanted to be able to read something and get access to knowledge, those public libraries were our home away from home. It was an access to knowledge. It was a way to be able to escape in fantastical lands from our lives for a little while. It was a chance to expand our imaginations and engross ourselves in interesting stories and interesting characters. In fact, those library trips from when I was a kid had a very, very big part in me learning to write as a child and developed my love for literature, for writing, for poetry, for art. Things that, as the person that wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I had no other way to get access to. I grew up in rural Missouri, folks. This was all I had. And now you're going to take that away from this generation's kids coming up? It was my escape, a safe place away from the bullies, where I could have a moment's peace. This is a war on knowledge. Full stop. Full stop. Period. The GOP are so afraid of this upcoming generation getting the ability to learn and have critical thought and maybe even shock and horror disagree with them, that they are willing to keep kids away from books. Their reasoning behind doing these sort of things, as I got a little bit more information from Paul for context, is that our public libraries refuse to remove the books for the LGBTQ plus community. And because these people out here in this state can't seem to figure out that there is such a thing as separation of church and state, they are using religious excuses to try and remove it. When the libraries refused to be censored as to what materials that they had, they decided, well, if you won't allow us to have our book ban, then we are going to try to choke you financially. They don't care about the damage that they do to the kids who find that as their only shelter. They don't care about the poor kids, where this might be their only access to get a hold of books. They don't care about the kids who need to escape from bullies. They don't care. They want to shove their version of religion down these kids' throats without giving them a reference. Coming from a family that's relatively conservative, tell me something, Republicans. Tell me something. Are you so afraid of them reading those books that you will deny them the chance to read all the other books that are contained in that library, including your precious C.S. Lewis, The Chronicles of Narnia, Lord of the Rings, the books that you all opine on? Because that's what you're doing. You're not just taking away those books you're so afraid of. You're taking away all the books. All of them. Do you not understand this? Excuse me, I gotta get my kava. 1 second, folks. Those libraries have provided generations of kids who didn't grow up with privilege a way into, well, learning new things, access to new ideas, a place where we could let our imaginations run wild. I am as educated as well as I am because of those libraries and because of the hours upon hours I have spent in them. Full stop. Full stop. I don't want to imagine what my life would have been without having access to them and the worlds that they opened up for me and for all the other rural kids like me. You want to know who also wanted books banned? The Nazi Party. You know what you want to call leftists every time you drop a hat because it's a getcha word. What you're doing, Republicans, is exactly what they did. You're banning certain books because they're grooming children. Last time I checked, a book could not groom me. Books don't groom people. Humans do. Kind of like when you try to ban books and only allow kids to have access to, the Bible, with no historical context because you banned all access to ancient history. Yeah. I will resist. There's a lot of individuals in this state that will fight you every step of the way. If we have to organize something where we can start doing private donations towards those libraries in order to keep them open so that the next generation of kids can have access to the same privileges that we did, so be it. I may not have a lot of money, but every little bit helps. This is insane. You do not get to rule what books are kept in the library because your religious conservatism is hurt. This is ridiculous. And by the way, it's not going to have the effect that you want it to have. You're going to end up coming up with a group of kids by the time they hit college who will distance themselves from you, who will break from you, whose anger at you because of the things that you withheld from them will know no bounds. You don't get to ban certain types of knowledge because it hurts your fundamentalism. I do wonder what Jesus would have to say about the actions that you have taken. Because I have a feeling he wouldn't be patting you on the back and saying good job. You do not win by taking knowledge out of the hands of the kids and those of us who have access to those libraries. You're robbing them. You're robbing them blind. And I will not sit here and be a silent, good little disabled person while you do it. Now to the disclaimers. God, I'm angry. In the description box, folks, you're going to find the link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill, folks. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. We also have linked in there NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC has the balls to see through with their threat. Also linked in there, speaking of Missouri, the Ozarks' first article in regards to the Agape boarding school / Stone for Help boarding school situation. You know, where actual groomers live. This is a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that has and pending, folks, over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all substantiated by the investigations done by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor still on the premises with full access to the boys up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy trying to defund libraries and chase after drag queens to care about the actual real pedophiles in this state. And you've got a governor that very obviously is off his nut. So please, folks, share that article on all your social media. We got the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign as well, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masemba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, folks, please go ahead and use those headphones, alright? This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity on occasion, obviously, and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised. Trigger warning: we are about to descend into the mad ravings of the lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to be hearing gaslighting, pseudoscience, lies, victim blaming, abuse and torture apologencia, all coming from a man with a massive ego and even larger God complex. So folks, be prepared for the arrogant stupid. Alright, where we left off yesterday. It is important to recognize that the use of electric shock and restraints as treatment as practiced at JRC lacks evidence-based proof of long-term efficacy or safety. This is false. No, it's not, doctor, but we'll get to that in a minute. Citations to 113 peer-reviewed articles providing evidence-based proof of the benefits and safety of skin shock as part of the behavioral treatment plan are attached hereto at Appendix E. JRC does not make its GED device available for use in any other programs, despite receiving requests to do so over the years. The first 3 citations contained on Appendix C deal specifically with JRC's GED skin shock device. Yeah, about those 113 peer-reviewed articles. Folks, we've gone over this on this channel, the so-called defenses. Every single article that they've submitted, and this has been noted by the FDA during the hearings back in circa 2014, were all dated, folks. 1920s, 1930s, 1960s. The most recent one that they cite is from the 80s. Which means none of the 113 so-called peer-reviewed articles that they like to tote that does not come directly from them is actually conclusive to what is known as best practices today in 2023, nor was it even during the time he wrote this in 2010. You cannot use outdated texts to support your hypothesis, doctor, when it's already been proven to be insane. Matter of fact, and Paul can tell you this because he looked it up yesterday and I was already familiar with this. The reasons why no studies are being done on the so-called safety of the so-called GED is because all the other doctors in his profession have deemed it unethical to even do so much as a study. Think about that. If literally the entirety of the rest of your profession is saying that they refuse to do any studies on the so-called safety of this device because they believe that it is an unethical, that should tell you something. Now, the other studies that he's going to cite that are supposed to be more current all come from a single source, Dr. Israel himself. As a person who was running this center at the time and making money off of it, that means those studies are not reliable. And doctor, you can't call it peer-reviewed because the people whose paychecks that you pay agree with you. Your thrown together graphs don't prove a thing. It's not safe, doctor. When you are shocking someone at just simply 3 times more powerful than a police taser, a taser that runs on Vita 3 and PA. These devices have been known to stop the hearts of full-grown men. You're attaching it on children as young as 9. Oh, but not just that. Not to just 15, but we also have the 45 and the 85, just below the lethal limit, folks. Think about it. If not even cops are going to put the same kind of power in their police tasers, those who take on full-grown violent criminals, but the JRC is going to go put it on a child of 9. And then they're going to sit there and tell you with their full chest that it's perfectly safe and harmless. I'm going to appeal to your logic right now. I'm going to appeal to your logic. It doesn't compute because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because it's a lie. And a proven lie. Not just based on logic, but based on receipts. When you go to Autistic Hoya's archive and you look at those DESI reports, you hear of 2nd and 3rd degree burns. This is what he calls temporary and therefore acceptable. No, doctor. 2nd and 3rd degree burns is not acceptable. Starving these kids is not acceptable. Depriving them of sleep, triggering them deliberately so that you can punish them. Everyone out here in the real world and reality who worked this field, call it what it is. It's torture. Torture. And the reason why there is no recent peer review study that backs your words is because everybody else in your profession has termed doing such a study as completely unethical. These are individuals who get up to some bizarre tests with us autistics, and they're sitting there telling you in the face that what you're doing is insane. Should make you think, shouldn't it? Now, speaking again as an individual who has a mother who's been in healthcare, the types of injuries that you can get for being shocked at the rates that those kids were shocked, especially 85 mph. Do you not know that if a wrong muscle converts, that can possibly break bones? That the convulsions you cause when you seize those muscles in the legs, particular falls. Very dangerous ones, because when you're in convulsion, you can't exactly brace yourself for the fall. Schools, as far as last time I checked, are not carpeted. There is no padding between them and the linoleum. Think on it. That's just on the surface. Second and third degree burns usually end up causing nerve damage or nerve issues down the line. Let's not even talk about the post-traumatic stress disorder, compounding trauma. When I say it's not an answer, doctor, it's because it's not an answer. Again, you are using the very same things that abusive parents have used from the very beginning. But I'll do this so that they know to be controlled. They deserved it. If I don't hit them, they won't know it's wrong. If it doesn't sound good from an abusive parent, it sure as hell doesn't sound good from a doctor. We're going to close out on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.